Causa tristeza y pena, parece un alma buena, pero solo Dios lo ve, sin luz y sin consuelo. Cuentan que tuvo un cielo, pero lo perdió. Es un ángel expulsado del paraíso, es un alma que no alcanzó perdón. Es un alma expulsado del paraíso, un pecado que no tuvo absolución. ¿Por qué? ¿Qué fue lo que hizo? Hizo pedazos a un buen corazón. ¿Por qué? ¿Qué fue lo que hizo?
Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. This is DMS11. As you probably guessed, I'm about to talk about Spanish again. I've been speaking Spanish 22 years. Consider myself fluent, can speak it, read, and write it. I think it's a very interesting language to learn, and I encourage anybody who wants to learn it to go ahead and pursue that. But do understand, it is not that easy. They say that Spanish is the easiest language. I have found in my 22 years of studying that it is easier than English, even though there are a lot of people who will not believe me, but to a certain degree it is. Even though you have what I call dialects or variantes of different countries and different regions within these countries, where one word can have 10 definitions, or one word is more than one word for one different thing. One country may call it one thing, another country may call it another. I think for any United States English speaker, it will be the easiest language to learn compared to, let's say, Polish, Arabic, or Mandarin. Let me tell you some things how I got started learning Spanish. When I was in grade school, I went to one school where they had Spanish. I had it for 2 years. I learned the basics. And then when I was in high school, I took honors Spanish for another 2 years. That did not make me fluent. It made it so I just knew a few sentences here and there. You know, for a while I just went around saying my few sentences. Wasn't pursuing learning fluently or anything, but that's what I did. But 22 years ago, I decided I was going to learn it fluently. And I said it's now or never, because I feel that the more you live, it should be the more you learn, but it's harder for you to learn the older you get. And this is noticeable because I feel that when you're younger, your brain is more like a sponge. As you get older, you get more defined, more stubborn, more set in your ways, and it's hard to let new principles set in. And when you learn another language, you have to adjust to a lot of new principles, because the new language that you are learning is not going to be the current language that you grew up speaking. In my case, English. Now, there are some similarities between Spanish and English, which I feel that for an English speaker, it would be more easier to learn Spanish, like compared to those other languages I foremostly mentioned. Okay, because English, Spanish, Portuguese, French, and Italian all come from Latin. When I'm speaking Spanish, there's a lot of times a word that I will say is going to sound similar to a word in English. Sometimes it can sound like a word that's rarely used in English, or a word that's used by a very educated person. Like, let's say this word, many people may not use this word, but let's take the word semáforo. That basically means a traffic light. The English equivalent is a semaphore. Semaphore is the traffic lights, the previous days of old traffic light system for the railroad. They're now called block signals, of course. But that's one example you might want to look at. But there's a lot of, even though the placement of your adjectives, which just confuses people because most of the time the adjective is behind the noun, but there are some cases you can put it in front of the noun, just like buen muchacho or buena muchacha. You can also say muchacha buena also, but most of the time the adjective is going to be behind the noun. Coche verde, green car. Technically I said car green, but most of the time that's going to be, the adjective is going to be behind the noun. Also, what confuses a lot of people is the objective pronouns or the reflective pronouns. Objective pronoun is that you're saying or doing something to a person and or object. Okay, for example, voy a decirle a esa mujer que la amo. I'm going to tell that woman that I love her. Okay, let's take that sentence and split it apart. Voy a decir, voy, conjugation of ir, conjugated to myself, present tense. You usually put an a behind a verbal action like ir, venir, in other words, empezar. Okay, decir. Okay, decir, to tell or to say. Okay, in this case I'll use the infinitive, voy a decir. Le. That's the objectional pronoun. Le is usually referred to as to he, to she, to a you informal when that comes down to with usted. And in some events, it's going to go to a person. When the situation of the object is personified, that may take a le. Like for example, if I were, let's say I'm writing a song or singing a song, and let's say the letra or the words of the song, voy a decirle a la luna que no aclare más. And I took that out of a song called Expulsado Del Luna. But for any of y'all who know salsa a lot, but that lyric came from the song. Voy a decirle a la luna que no aclare más. I want to tell the moon not to clear up anymore, because I want to be nightfall all the time. Okay. Well, oh, no, I'm sorry. I said the lyric wrong. Voy a decirle al cielo que no aclare más. I'm going to tell the sky not to clear up, so it'll be nightfall all the time, to the moon cloud. That's what this particular song was talking about, Hechizo de Luna, or the enchantment of the moon. Okay, but in that case, ley is going to, the moon is an inanimate object, but in that case, it's going to be personified because I'm to act like I'm talking to it like it's a person, or actually cielo, I'm sorry. Cielo, it's going to, voy a decirle al cielo, but it's personified because I'm talking to the sky like it's a person. But other than that, the lay is usually going to be objectional pronoun to he, she, or you. You being we're using usted. Voy a decirle a usted. If I'm talking to someone older than me, I'm talking in a professional situation, or I'm talking, I don't know that person that well. I'll always use usted. Tú and vos, those are someone you are familiar with, someone you're close to, someone that is your peer, someone who is younger than you. Okay, it's interesting because I've recently learned this. I want to say probably the first decade and a half that I was speaking Spanish. I use usted for someone older than me. I'm talking in a professional situation, or I don't know that person, so I would say usted. And I will always use tú if it's someone who I'm close friends with, a significant other, someone who's younger than me, or informal basically. I want to say the last 6 years I've learned another one, vos. And when I found out about vos, it's the equivalent of tú, but certain people from certain countries use that. For example, Central America and most of South America. Mexicans usually do not use vos. Puerto Ricanos and other people from the Caribe, like the Dominican Republic and Cuba, do not use vos. But if you go to, or if you talk to people from Central America, let's say Honduras, El Salvador, Costa Rica, which I've been to, also South America, Argentina, they exclusively use vos. They do not use tu. Peru uses tu. That's one of the few exceptions in South America that don't use vos, as far as I've known. I've watched a lot of talk shows or programa de entrevista, como Laura in America and Monica. Those talk show hosts were Peruanas, and I never heard vos come out their mouth. Anytime I heard vos, is they may have somebody from Argentina on their lineup, and then they would say vos. But most of South America, my understanding, and Central America uses vos for familiar, and spelled VOS, not VOZ, like voice. Vos, as far as speaking to someone who is close to you, someone you're affectionate with, someone younger than you, someone your peer. They use vos instead of tu. Colombia, my understanding about that particular country, certain regions use vos and some use tu. I can't give you a breakdown, but I had a friend, he was from Cali, and he uses tu with me because of America, but when I started talking about vos, then he started using vos as well. But that's my understanding for that. So, but Spanish language, I think is a good language. I think anybody who wants to learn it, but understand it's going to take a lot of time. You will make a lot of mistakes. I'm not perfect, but I'm very, very knowledgeable what I know. I did 22 years of this. I've had some great times with Spanish speaking as I learn it and as I interact with people who speak it. Had some bad times too, because there were some people who were very discouraging me not to speak it. And I'm not just going to focus on Latinos. There were some Americans that say, okay, I'm a black American. I've had black Americans tell me, discourage me to not speak Spanish. I've had white people do it, and I have had some Latinos. Well, I've noticed about the Latinos who kind of, there's a red flag as far as the Latinos who, and the Hispanos, or Hispanics who were discouraging me to not speak Spanish. They didn't speak it that well. I'm not trying to throw jabs at people, but it's the truth. And the reason I came to find this out is because when I was in the novato stages or the beginner stages, even when I would go to places and try to speak Spanish, would not be speaking it very well, but I was making an attempt. The people who spoke Spanish all the time didn't speak a lick of English. They never got mad. They never got mad. It was obvious at that time I had not mastered Spanish. It was obvious at that time I was not, they could tell I was so-called gringo negro or whatever, but that I did not, have a mastery of the language at that time. But what will come in time and a lot of work and dedication, I kind of have a mastery now, somewhat. You could not challenge me in Spanish unless you're ready to speak for 10 hours straight without speaking English. And I usually get people right there. If they ever tell me, oh, you don't speak Spanish that well, I've yet to have a person tell me that, and then I tell them I can speak for 10 hours and probably won't say a word of English or very little. Can you do the same? Then I can write it, and then I can read it. Shall we continue this debate? Que seguir con este debate, okay? And usually, not usually, 100% of the time, they don't want no parts of it. And it shouldn't be like that. It's bad that we live in this world where some people always discourage you, some people always be negative and hinder you, but aside of that, we learned Spanish was a good experience. I don't regret it. It was hard. I had to learn a lot of stuff. I continue to learn a lot of stuff, but it was worth it. But some other things about Spanish, if you want to become fluent in Spanish, you have to be learning at least 5 out of 7 days a week. Okay? I consider myself fluent. No one can deny that, but I constantly am upgrading my vocabulary because I have a pet peeve. You won't believe this is a black American who's not Latino saying this what my pet peeve is. My pet peeve is when I speak Spanish, I like to keep it all in Spanish. I like to use very little English. And a lot of times some people want to debate me or want to criticize my Spanish, they get in trouble with me. Because, for example, one word I will never say when I'm in Spanish mode, or what they call me, El Negro, or El Negro. That's my nickname. I'll wear that till I die. I'm not ashamed of it. That's my name. El Negro, or El Negro. But One word I do not like using in the midst of a Spanish conversation, and a lot of Latinos do it. And once again, I'm not dissing Latinos, but this is where Spanglish comes in, or this is not where saying all your words come in. And you can't criticize somebody who tries to learn Spanish or who did learn Spanish, and you don't speak it at the best. You can't do that. Like I said, I'm not trying to take a jab at anybody, but you can't. And I came across people who did, and they had to face the wrath of El Negro. One word I cannot stand is basement. A lot of times Latinos will speak Spanish and they'll say, you know, ¿Dónde está el chico? And then somebody respond, El chico estaba en el basement. Okay, now I'm not going to lie and say that every word in Spanish, every word in English got a translation in Spanish, but there's a lot that do. Some people just don't say. And then another thing is, if it does have a translation, I tend to make up something where I'm describing what it is I'm talking about without using English. Okay, when people speak Spanish to me, they're going to learn. They're not talking to them idiot who just read a Spanish-English dictionary and think he's going to talk Spanish. I can hold my own, and I will. But there are a lot of words that some people, even some of your best Spanish speakers, will not say in perfect Spanish. And like I said, I'm not pushing a diss on people. I'm just, that's my pet peeve. I guess I got that because for the times that people were telling me, oh, you never speak Spanish that good. You said this wrong, that, and the other. I intended to show them, got the wrong one. I will learn it, I will master it. And now, years later, I've done that. And it was so funny because I remember people making fun of me trying to learn Spanish or criticizing me. And there's a way you can correct somebody without being offensive. There's a way to do that. Okay? In general, if I correct somebody, and I'm just talking about Spanish, anything, I try to do it without being offensive, unless they want to be an a-hole. That's another story, though. But there were people just, they were just mean and nasty, you know. You ain't saying that right, you know. But at the same time, I noticed the people who spoke Spanish, it seemed like, I'm talking about really spoke Spanish, said that they have a problem with learning it, and they may have corrected me in a way that was less offensive and not, stern ways, like, like I'm trying to make me feel like a pendejo, but that's what it is. But now 22 years later, it is kind of funny how 180 degree turn, because occasionally I have an argument with people that think I am Hispanic trying to be Afro-American. I've been told that tú estás negando tus raíces latinas, or you are denying your Latin roots. And I'm like, really? Are you freaking kidding me? 2 decades ago, y'all said I'll never learn Spanish like a Latino. I would always do it wrong. Now, I've had people is where someone really got mad at me until I had to say something in Spanish, but something that only un negro like me would say in Spanish, but let them know, dude, I'm black, not Latino, but I do speak Spanish fluently. Okay? What you're saying is a bunch of crap because you're thinking you're the only one, even though you may have grown up with the language, you're the only one that can do it. Well, I'm just proving you wrong. Okay? But I've had people come to me. I was in Argentina, and I was at this bar outside, sitting this, that, and the other. I met a few friends, whatever. And this dude from Bolivia was arguing with me, talking to me, telling me that I don't sound like I'm somebody from Chicago. I'm probably from Brazil or Colombia. Brazil or Colombia. I'm like, really? I'm over in South America. 5,000 miles away from home for somebody to tell me I'm lying about being from Chicago. Oh my goodness, really? But anyway, enough of that. But it was interesting I have so far gone to 4 Latin American countries. I've been to Dominican Republic, República Dominicana. I've been to Argentina, or Argentina. I've been to Costa Rica and Mexico, or Mexicans would call it Mexico. And it was interesting because I got a chance to see how my Spanish played out when the whole world around me is speaking Spanish. And I did well. Had situations where I had to be super negro. Because Spanish, that reading Spanish and writing it and everything, it came in handy. Because, like, when you're in the United States, basically everything is in English. You may have some place you go to, might have a backlog where some of it is written in Spanish, some of it is written in Polish, because that's the second and third language spoken in the Chicagoland area. Spanish, then behind that, Polish. Polish more so, I think, on the northwest side. But they said that Chicago has the biggest Polish population under Warsaw, Poland, I've been told. So, but being in a Latin American country where everything around you is in Spanish, people not speaking English, it was a good experience for me. I learned a lot. It also validated me learning Spanish because I can, I can go, like, for example, I was in Costa Rica. I was able to catch a cab. I had rented a car, and the rental car broke down. I had to call the rental car place and tell them where I was in Costa Rica. And in Costa Rica, they do not have street names. They do not have, like, Belmont, Cumberland, Kedzie, King Drive. Ain't none of that. But I told them using landmarks, and they was able to find me. So that validated my Spanish. And it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. Wasn't no one around. Even though one gentleman did stop to try to assist me for a while, and then he went home. I thanked him. He was real cool. Costa Rica Sensei, Tico. Nice guy. Whatever. That was nice of him stopping and try to assist me. But Spanish, it's a good language. There's a lot of work to it. Other thing about Spanish is the different variants, variantes, or what I call dialects. It's like there are some words in one country, it means something different for another. Now, I'm not going to edit out, I'm not going to say anything nasty, but I will say the actual Spanish words that I've learned where it has totally different definitions from one country to another. Okay, the first one I learned, bizcocho. Puerto Ricans say that for cake. A lot of Latinos, especially Mexicans, use that for female genitalia. So you would not go into a Mexican pasteleria and ask for bizcocho. You might get your butt kicked. Okay? Another one, cabrón. Mexicans will say that word. That word has a double connotation within the Mexican community. Okay? The real definition, people don't use it. It means a male goat. But people don't use that definition. Cabrón can be similar to calling somebody a bastard. Or it could be if it's your buddy, you just, joking around with them, calling them cabrón, a male person. Okay? Even though I've seen some females, I remember I was going out with this Mexican chick, and she got mad because there was another woman looking at me, and we left, and she was referring to her as a cabrona. But that's another story. Then it's like, okay, so cabrón just within Mexican dialect, it means a good and bad thing depending on the intonation and who's saying it to who. If you say that to a Puerto Rican, you're basically calling him a dumbass because you're saying he's a cuckold and his girl's getting down on him with another guy. Basically means she's messing around with him. I'll just leave it at that. I don't say something dirty. I don't want to say that right now. But, so, that's a regional difference. The word coger, that can mean to grab or to catch something. But in alternate dialects, it means to. So, you just, certain words I put together, some phrase I put together, like, okay, let's say a Puerto Rican says, yo voy a coger la guagua. Okay. He or she is maybe saying, I'm going to catch the bus. He or she cannot say that in, what country is that? Is that Peru? Yeah, I believe it's Peru. No, not Peru. It's Chile. Can't say that in Chile. In Chile, wawa, el wawa or la wawa means a baby. And remember that second definition, the bad definition of coger? That Puerto Rican be saying, I'm going to do something to a baby. I'll leave it at that. So, it's a lot with these dialect changes. Colombia, they say pitillo for a drinking straw. Mexicans say popote. Either one of those can say they were in the other establishment. Okay, pitillo, said by anybody other than Colombian can mean a male genitalia. I'll leave it at that. Popote, not being said by Mexican, might mean a big pile of poop. So it's just all these words with all these different definitions. It's just, some words is not used by people. It's not going to necessarily have an altered bad definition. I found out a lot of them does, but it's like A Mexican might say a camion for a bus, also means a truck. Um, a Puerto Rican would say a wawa for a bus. You know, it's like I think Peru says a combi. You know, there's so many words in different countries. You know, and you hear that. Okay, I was in Argentina, and I wanted to get a strawberry shake, and I say, you know, me da un licuado de fresa. And the guy says to me, aquí no le decimos fresa, le decimos frutilla. And, you know, I kind of, okay, I took that as word, but back of my head I'm thinking, you know what the hell I want, give me a damn strawberry milkshake, shit. But anyway, but that's, you know, here and there. One of the things I've used to help my Spanish is this Spanish English Dictionary by the University of Chicago. This version is pretty good, but I like some of the previous versions because they put a little bit too much Spanglish in this one. You know, El Negro does not like Spanglish. You know, so don't give me you know, I don't know what's an example, but it had a little too much Spanglish in there for me. I don't like Spanglish. And it's gonna be, I know it's difficult for someone to say or to see me and be like, you're not Latino, you're not Hispano. You're correcting us and telling us you don't like Spanglish. That's what I said. I see lo dijo a negro. That's what negro said. But this is a pretty good dictionary though. University of Chicago Spanish English Dictionary. One thing I liked about this edition as previous editions is it had different, as I was mentioning, different countries have different words, and it'll sometimes tell you what country says certain words. Like, okay, I'll give you an example. In this dictionary for China, you look at China, it's looking up as a Spanish word, China. The definitions would say a Chinese woman, porcelain, you know, like fine china, and then it says PR, a sweet orange. Because my understanding is most Puerto Ricans, they may say naranja, but I think their preferred word is China for a sweet orange, not to be confused with a naranja agria or just a bitter orange. But yeah, my understanding is most Puerto Ricans are gonna say China for a sweet orange, the one you get the Minute Maid orange juice from, you know. So it's just different. You take a word for like swimming pool. I think the common word for a swimming pool is a piscina. When I went to Mexico with a friend, his old man. I was in my learning stage of Spanish. I only been I'm gonna learn Spanish fluently for 2 years, and they took me to a swimming pool, and they say it's an alberca. Okay. In Argentina, it's a pileta. And I think some other places call it a tanque or estanque or something. But usually, common word is piscina. But I usually tend to say alberca a lot. And sometimes I gotta remember to change that word when I'm speaking to someone who's not Mexican. But you know, that's the word that stuck with me because when I was in my learning stages of Spanish, and I was hanging with Mexicans in Mexico, they took me to the alberca. So it's just a lot of words, though. It's just interesting because the first dialect I learned was Mexican. Chicago is majority, as far as Latino population, majority Mexican. Okay, followed that by Puerto Ricans. Okay, so first I was encountered with Mexicans, and I was learning Spanish. And then when I came across Puerto Ricans, I couldn't understand them for shit. Part of my vernacular, but for real, I couldn't understand Puerto Ricans for shit. There's no diss to Puerto Ricans because I understand y'all now, and some of y'all Spanish and some of my Spanish. Okay, so let's get that clear. Anybody Puerto Rican who might come across this, no te ofendas. No, but everybody has is interested about Spanish because people have their different ways of speaking, and it's kind of funny because I think Puerto Ricans speak real fast, and now Puerto Ricans tell me I speak real fast. I'm like, shit, I learned it from you. But you know, in addition to that, there's some intonations of how words are said. You might not be following a dictionary or the Spaniard way of saying this, but there's certain things I learned about Puerto Ricans or Los de Caribe, the Caribbeans, because my opinion, Dominicans, Cubans, Puerto Ricans speak very similar. Not exactly, but there are similar traits. All three of them say wah for bus. All three of them tend to cut the S's and D's off the end of words. I'll give you an example. Someone who's just speaking correct Spanish might say, "Tú eres un mentiroso." You're a liar. Okay. Someone from the Caribe might say, "Tú eres un mentiroso." Drop the S from that eres and say "ere." Or I might say someone who is speaking so-called entre comillas proper Spanish might tell somebody, "Tell me the truth, dime la verdad." Someone from the Caribe might say, "Dime la verdad." They dropped the D off the word. And that took me a lot to learn about, because somebody could be speaking to me in Spanish. And at first, when I was a novice Spanish speaker, that one pronunciation or one syllable that you didn't pronounce would throw me totally off. Totally off. But I've learned since then, so everybody who's down in Spanish, they can understand me, I can understand them. And I got to change words around, and we got to explain to each other what we just said. But that don't happen that much. It's like I had that problem more so with people who are not fluent in Spanish. And my definition of fluent in Spanish, you can speak Spanish all day. 10 hours, leave the English at home. To me, that's fluent. Now, someone who may see this might disagree with me, but what's your definition? Because you're not going to say you're fluent. You can say 3 sentences in Spanish, then you got to run back to English. You're not fluent. You're not going to say you're fluent, and I send you a text message written in perfect Spanish, and you don't know what the hell I wrote. That's not fluent. I'm just keeping it 100. But that's, it is what it is. But Spanish is interesting though. But it's just like I say, I'm 22 years into it. I'm not bored of it. Every week I learn something new. Every week I'm always talking to people in Spanish. Some people like me speaking Spanish. Some people I drive up a wall. It is what it is, But some people, they're real nice. I have some neighbors who speak predominantly Spanish, don't speak much English. When I bought this house next to them, they love me. They bring me food. They help me out with stuff. They don't speak a lick of English though, but it's not any problems with communication. I've gone to. They invited me to a quinceañera for the nieta. Oh, that was fun. We was talking about that. That was a good time though. I just make one little footnote. I never thought they have an open bar at a 15-year-old girl's birthday party. We don't do that in African American culture, but maybe we should. That's all I'm gonna say. But that was a good time. But Spanish, if you're gonna learn Spanish, you're not gonna pick up a book and then read the book for a week and then become fluent. Okay, it takes time. You have to get over mistakes, and you also have to decipher between people giving you good advice and people giving you bad advice. Because on one hand, people tell you something that's right, but it's also wrong in Spanish. For example, if I told you that let me think what's that. If I told you that furgoneta means van, I'm right. It means van. I drive vans, so I'm the furgoneta. That's close to me in my life. I don't know how to say it in Spanish. But also, if you said it was a guaguita or microbus, you'd be right too. More than one way to say it. But the problem with some people is they say one word for that, and it could be several words. And I'm not gonna lie and say I know every word for everything, but I just know how to get through. Most of what I can say in English, I can say about 85-90% in Spanish with no problem. But it's so many differences, and other Latinos will tell you, they've told me, sometimes they talk to other Latinos and the words they say freak them out, because it means that different intonations mean different different definitions. Like I remember I went to this bar one time. There's a Mexican dude who I met at the bar. He was real cool. I go there see him. Chop it up or whatever. Okay, he had a dude that was from Ecuador, Ecuatoriano. So he was telling him, "Hey man, meet Keith. He know how to speak Spanish. So you talk to the Ecuatoriano. Speak Spanish. And this that and the other. And the Ecuatoriano, after a while, he said, "Me cae bien este maricón." Now, I'm always adapted, and I wasn't offended because I kind of listen to how people say things, and I know when it's meant to be offensive or not. Okay, everybody know what a maricón means. I'm not going to even say that definition. But in this case, he did not mean it like that. It's just like the same way that Mexicans can say cabrón, and depending on how they're saying it, it could be a good thing or bad thing. He was saying it kind of like a term of endearment. He wasn't calling me a homosexual. And I kind of knew that. But to clarify, I did say, ¿qué está pasando en tu país? Es que parece que maricón tenga dos significados. And he explained. And I was right. But I could tell by the way he said he wasn't being offensive. I guess he was intrigued by my Spanish, whatever. And just, we got the bar, chilling out, drinking, talking shit, enjoying ourselves. And, say, you know, this guy, I'm cool with this guy, basically what he's saying. But to the average person, it might not sound like that. But I had to learn to listen to how people say things, because with all this Spanish and everything having 10 definitions and 10 meanings, and if you say it at this octave, it means that, but you say it at this octave, it means that, it's crazy. But it's fun. It's real, keep your brain busy as far as me trying to keep up with Spanish and, prove to everybody, don't talk to me, you can't just say anything you want to me because I'll embarrass you if you do, but I think I've proved my point. Okay, Viva el Negro. But another thing, if you do try to learn Spanish, maybe you try to listen to some music. The music the song I played at the intro to this video, the artist named José Manuel Figueroa. One of the few first Spanish language CDs I bought. Expulsado Del Paraíso, or Expelled from Paradise, Kicked Out of Paradise, is the name of the album and the name of the song that I played. And that was funny because I remember I was going out hanging out with a group of Mexicans. This was years ago, my party age, whatever. I'm not going to say my age is, but I ain't in my 20s no more, obviously. But this is during the 20s, and we went out to a club, party, this, that, and the other. Then we went to a Mexican restaurant that was open all hours of the night, get some food. So someone put on the rocola, or the jukebox, this song, José Manuel Figueroa, Expulsado Del Paraíso. I started to sing the lyrics. I'm around all Mexicans. There might be a few other Latinos with us, but everybody was Spanish-speaking Latino. I was El Negro in training. I started singing this song as we were waiting for our food to come, and those Latinos looked at me like I was crazy. Like, how the hell you know this song? I'm Mexican. I don't even know what this damn song's about, But yeah, this is one of my favorite songs, José Manuel Figueroa, Expulsado Del Paraíso. He's the son of singer Joan Sebastian. But I listen to a lot of music. I started, Selena had died. I say Selena, I don't say Selena, that's English pronunciation. Selena, everybody knows Selena is. Jennifer Lopez protagonized her in the movie, came out in 97. She died in 95. I think had she lived longer, she would have made a bigger dent than she did on music history. By her being a very successful female Latina singer. On one hand, it's like I give her props because she was able to sing good in Spanish. On the other hand, I give her props because she was able to sing good in English. Okay, the CD that she released, or that they released after her death, it was like half English, half Spanish. I believe it was called Dream Interview. Okay, and there was a few songs on that, particularly I Could Fall in Love with You and Dreaming of You, where she sung in English. And I thought she was badass. But I still love the Selena, the music songs like that she sings in Spanish, like Cancacha, Bidi Bidi Bomba, Amor Prohibido, No Me Queda Más. But she had talent. Selena had a lot of talent, where she could sing to the deepest of Mexicans, and then sing for people, let's say, had I not learned Spanish, stuff that me, a black American or white American, non-Spanish speaking American, could vibe off of. She was just that talented. It was a shame that that lady, her fan club president or whoever that heifer was, did what she did. That was very unfortunate. But I listened to Selena. I started buying a lot of Latino music sung in Spanish. Particularly, I love salsa, but I'm not limited to salsa. I listen to cumbia, I listen to baladas, merengue, bachata, little stuff here and there, and just remix versions in Spanish and stuff. Like, for example, I had this Cypress Hill. Okay, everybody knows Cypress Hill is a group of Latino rappers, been around for a long time. But they had this CD, Los Grandes Éxitos en Español, or biggest hits in Spanish. I thought it was a good CD. It had their songs that they sung in English, but they were translated in Spanish or sung in Spanish. And it was funny because one of my favorite songs by them was called Pigs, where they dissing the police or whatever. But anyway, that's my favorite song by them. So they had a version called Puercos. And it was funny because I listened to the version of Pigs, the English version, and Puercos, the version by them in Spanish. And they made it line up and translate perfectly. The English translation to Spanish, vice versa, and the Spanish version still rhymes. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, there's one lyric in Puercos, the Spanish version of Cypress Hill Pigs. He says, this little pig is cool. He rolls alone. And nothing. Ooh, damn, I forgot the lyrics to that. Okay. Okay, I'll come back to that. Let me see the Spanish version. Este puerco, I'll go to the Spanish version. Okay, the Spanish version says, Este puerco es buena gente. Él bota solo. Nada le pasa. Este puerco está comiendo donas mientras que alguien roba tu casa. And the English version, exactly, it's like, this little pig is cool. Something, they leave him alone, and this little pig's eating donuts. Meanwhile, while someone's robbing your home. I'm like, you mean the exact same thing, and it totally translates on rhymes. I'm like, that's good business. Another song I like that a rapper, Hispanic, Kid Frost. Before he just changed his name to Frost, but the Hispanic calls it Panic. The song La Raza and Ya Estuvo. And it's kind of funny because I remember when that CD came out in 1990. It wasn't El Negro wasn't born then, but you know I just liked his rap, you know. But I remember listening to that after I had studied Spanish for a few years, and I was listening to Ya Estuvo. Ya Estuvo basically means that's all, that's it, it's over with, been one, you know. And I'm listening to the Spanish part, and I can totally understand the Spanish part, and it translates exactly what he's saying in English. And then the La Raza. You know, when I say last time, I'm not talking about whoever's a gang. I know the history of that word. I know that it means among Mexicans, it's supposed to mean the pride for the people. But also there's a gang out there. I ain't talking about that. All right. But La Raza, when he's talking about certain things, he's throwing the Spanish in there. You know, I'm talking about other parts other than you're so cool, I'm gonna call you culo. You know, but he'll say something like, "Dang. What's happening? Que pasa? This is for you anyway. This is for La Raza." No, something else he would say. I ain't got a song in front of me, so I can't remember everything. But anything, I like that I was listening to it, and then when he threw that little Spanish stuff in, I ain't have to think twice about what he said. Even though most of the song was in English, but he threw that little Spanish in, I know exactly what he said. You know, he said something like, I think it's cohetes full of balas. He put it in, he won't say nada, something like that. But, you know, but anyway. But it was music. I used to watch telenovelas. I remember I was going out with this Mexican girl. I had to get rid of her because she was infatuated by me. I remember one time we was on the phone like 3 hours and telling her about me learning Spanish and watching telenovelas like Mi Pequeña Traviesa, Maria La de Barrio, Mi Pequeña Traviesa, and I guess she's like, man, this is a black Mexican right here. But a lot of things I utilized to learn Spanish. Another thing I did was kind of eavesdrop on people. If I was in a place where people speak Spanish, I would try my best to listen as hard as I could and get words out of what they were saying. And it was funny because one day I got caught eavesdropping. There was a group of Spanish people speak Spanish, and a lady looked at me and said, "Este tipo sabe español," and she must have known I was eavesdropping or listening to him say the other. And I just told her I learned Spanish. I'm always listening for Spanish, and she didn't get mad, but. I was in a Chinese food restaurant. It was funny, but man, I remember one time I was in the same Chinese food restaurant, and I was with one of my buddies, Israel. He's Mexican, and Israel speaks English, but he'll never speak it to me. He'll never speak it to me. I've known him over 20 years, Spanish all the time. So we're going to the Chinese restaurant. It's a buffet. We get our food, sit down, eat. You know, we talking like friends talk in Spanish. There was a lot of Latinos in this restaurant today. It seemed like for a minute there was absolute silence. They paused because I guess they couldn't believe this black person speaking Spanish. You know, but that was funny. But it's some of the funny things though. But but if you want to learn Spanish, learn it. But understand it's going to take some time. You're going to do a lot of work. You're going to make a lot of mistakes, and you're going to learn a lot. If you're open-minded, you must keep a mente abierta. Okay, because if you don't, you'll be very ignorant. there's some people who speak Spanish and they're very ignorant because we got too many cultures. Everything is not Mexican. Everybody is not Mexican. No diss against the Mexicans because they are the majority of the population in Chicagoland area in Northwest Indiana. I understand that. But I took a trip through New York and I went to Dover, New Jersey and Middleton, New Jersey. That was a Honduras city. And it was nothing. I had nothing against that. They were good. I met some of them, drunk with them. We kicked the bubbles, whatever. Nickname for Hondureños, Catrachos. And I was cool with that. I was calling them Maltrachos. There was one Hondureña I was hanging out with. I call her a Maltracha, but that's a different story. But they was cool though. But they was the dominant Latinos in Dover, New Jersey, and Middleton, New Jersey. And it was funny because I was in a bar and I noticed they weren't Mexican. I'm kind of a Mexican expert. I could pick up as much as I've been around Chicago speaking Spanish with Mexicans. I can tell somebody's Mexican when they're not. But so when I was in the bar, I'm trying to figure out what country they was from. I guess wrong. I knew it was Central America. I guess Guatemala, and it was Honduras. Both Central America, but but I knew they weren't Mexican because I could tell somebody's Mexican now. I remember I was at a campground one time. One dude was from who worked there. He was from Honduras. We spoke Spanish, whatever. But I knew he wasn't Mexican because I didn't hear none of the Mexican slang. I didn't hear none of that orale or cabrón, none of that. But then there was other guy who ended up working there and talked to Spanish speaking. He was Mexican, and I picked it up. And I'm like, and I asked him about the other guy. I'm like, he's not Mexican. He's like, no, he's from Honduras. I'm like, yeah, I could know. He wasn't talking to Mexican head guy that I normally speak, But it's just really interesting, like if you get to learn Spanish and you learn some of the different foods and the different ways of saying stuff and some of the dirty jokes. That's funny too, though. But it is what it is. But anyway, anybody who wants to learn Spanish, you should go ahead and learn it. You really should. But understand if you're gonna become fluent, and I'm not trying to act arrogant because I became fluent, but if you're gonna become fluent like me or fluent to the point where you can speak it and you can be let loose in Argentina or Mexico and Costa Rica and you won't need a translator and no one's going to get over on you, it's going to take some work. But don't wait too long because the longer you wait, the harder it gets. So this is DMS11 and I'm out of here. So y'all have a good one.